Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We're about 20 minutes late. It is 10:52 a.m. here in Norwich, England, and you're listening to, and watching, hopefully, Athena Games, the X-Wing tournament stream. We have a Hangar Bay event going on. My name is Elliot Baker, your regular commentator, and sitting next to me is some of a newcomer to the booth, Robin Farndon. Hello, Robin.
It's good to be here. Thank you very much, Elliot.
We've got quite a big turnout today. Probably at least I think 20 players. Hello.
George Barker's list. Have you got it?
I will have a sort
Yeah,
of.
is that- So the first match we have coming up is Duncan Keough, who is quite a skilled player. He's been on the stream before. He's sitting on the right-hand side, and he's running a unique list, which you and I both agreed was kind of the showcase for this kind of little
Absolutely.
first match, which is very unusual. It's Horton's Arm, which is nice. You don't often see Horton in a competitive environment.
No, I'm pleased to see him.
Yeah, with R5D8, a twin laser turret, then Dutch Vander, so two Y-Wing aces, which is very rare you see just one on the table, let alone two. So quite a prestigious event.
Particularly for the Rebels as well. The Rebel Y-Wings are really underrepresented in the competitive environment at the moment.
And he's running R5K6 with a twin laser turret, of course. But the final addition is the reason we picked this list, or one of the main reasons, Shara Bay, the new ARC 170.
And Shara Bay as well is not been getting the same amount of hype as some of the other ARC pilots. So we think it's interesting to see what she can do on the table.
Yeah, and she has R7T1, Veteran Instincts, Weapons Engineer, which of course works very well with her ability, and of course Alliance Overhaul, because it's free, why wouldn't you take it?
Absolutely.
And he's against Luke Johnson, and that's Duncan's first list. His second list is the Cobra Crew. Maybe you can go through that, Robin.
Absolutely. So, the Cobra Crew. We have got Talonbane Cobra, a great personal favourite of mine, in the Kirax fighter with Predator, cluster missiles, Glister Stim, and some vectored thrusters. Vectored thrusters, a new card for Wave 9, and something that I think the Kirax in particular benefits a lot from. The ability to barrel roll changes what that ship can do fundamentally. And then we've got three, I think, identical Black Sun Soldier Z95s, all packing assault missiles, deadman switches, and guidance chips. So don't be at range one of your other ships.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
The short lesson from that.
But yeah, that's the two lists, because we're running a Hangar Bay event today, which is a brand new format which has recently been kind of showcased. It was showcased at the Hoth Open, wasn't it?
The Systems Open.
The Systems Open, that was it. And you took part in the Systems Open, didn't you?
I did, yes. Very good event. Like the UK Yavin Open was the largest X-Wing event that's ever taken place. 426 players, I think it was. Fantastic event, and I've got to say, all praise to the X-Wing community for that. Even though my final match of the first day was for a place in the Cup, me and my opponent were both still playing like it's casual Wednesday night X-Wing down at Athena Games.
Oh, yeah,
so
you love it when that happens. We love a bit of casual here. There's nothing wrong with being competitive. It's nice when you can kind of just chill and enjoy yourself.
Absolutely.
Not to knock anyone who plays competitively, that's the thing. But with Hangar Bay, you have to bring two lists, and we're running the rival rule today. So yeah, they have to be different factions, and you must use the same obstacles across both lists, which is something which a lot of players were confused about. But it is in the rules that you have to use the same obstacles across both lists, which I think adds a limitation to both lists. You have to design both lists around the fact you can only have a selected pool of 3 obstacles.
Well, if you're taking those 3 large debris fields for your dash chopper list, then maybe you don't want to be running a TIE Swarm as your other half.
Exactly. But we'll see what we got here. So that's Duncan's 2 lists that he'll be choosing between. We've also got, I believe, Luke Johnson, who is new to the game. It's his first ever event, I believe. I'm not sure if it's his first time playing either. I think it's just his first time at an event like this.
Luke's gone for a Rebel list and an Imperial list, both of which are 4 ships and no upgrades. which is a
Brave.
brave choice there. So for his rebel list, we've got Wedge Antilles, Aaron Kraken, an Outer Rim Smuggler, and a Dagger Squadron B-Wing. Now the interesting thing about this, Aaron Kraken actually does give some action economy through to the rest of the list. He's also something that he's just in a Z95. So if he's left on the field and he's left to keep doing those like small pinging 2 dice attacks, he's passing those actions off to the rest of your ships.
But he's rather expensive for 19 points, don't you think?
I did think that up until the point that I started playing Aaron, at which point I was like, this is really good value.
Thing is, for me, whenever I've flown Aaron, he never survives the first pass, and usually that means he gets one shot, and that's the one action, that's it. He's not got. I don't think he's worth the 19 points. Maybe if he was a tiny bit cheaper. I mean, not like 5 points cheaper, but maybe like a 1 or 2, so maybe 18 or 17 points. I could see him being used.
I tend to very much regard Aaron as a cheaper version of Biggs that gives you a one-use version of Push the Limit on one of your ships. And at that point, 19 points doesn't seem so bad.
I have to admit, it's not okay. You don't force them to attack Aaron, but they kind of don't want to keep Aaron around. Yeah, I can see your point there. I really can.
And then Luke's second list is a Bounty Hunter Fire Spray, Colonel Jendon in the Lambda Shuttle, Felsroth in the TIE Interceptor, and Maula Mithil in the TIE Fighter. Interesting to see Felsroth on the field. It's a pilot I don't think I've ever actually seen flown before.
It's very rare you see him on the table. If there's an interceptor, 99% of the time it is Sintifel.
Yeah.
And if it's not, it's usually Khan or Jack, someone with a bit more denial. Fel, I'm not sure if he's going to do well, but we'll see. But yeah, very interesting that there's no upgrades on both of those lists. Do you think that could be a numbers game kind of coming into play there?
He's managed to get 4 ships into both lists, and the current competitive play environment does seem to be a bit more focused around 2 to 3 ships. So for all that you are taking a bit of a gamble with no upgrades, just the sheer weight of numbers, the weight of fire, might do him some favours. And it's worth noting the Imperial list here does actually pack a decent punch. Everything there's effectively a 3 attack ship, because even Maula Mithil gets an extra dice when he gets into range 1, and you just plow him forwards and get him those range 1 shots. So it's a decent amount of firepower there. I'll be interested to see how it goes. I'm aware that Duncan is a player I approach from the viewpoint of this guy really knows what he's doing. So Luke might have a bit of an uphill struggle.
It seems to be Duncan is the key name for X-Wing. Both Duncans we know are very skilled X-Wing players. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it all goes. I mean, the list I really want to see is Duncan's first list, the ARC 170 list.
Yeah, absolutely.
But whether he'll choose that will depend on whether he thinks he has the advantage. Now I think with upgrades, whatever list he chooses, he's going to have the advantage. I think looking at the 2 lists, maybe the Shara Bay list will actually have a bit of an edge over both of Luke's list because of the lack of upgrades, as well as simply going for damage equality.
We've just had some dials revealed for choice of list.
Here we go.
And I think, by the look of it, Duncan is going for the Black Sun Cobra list here.
Yes, I believe you're right. I believe he's going for the Black Sun Cobra list.
And I think we've got the Rebel list on on Luke's side.
Yep, that seems to be what we're going for. All right then. Well, I'll get the overlays up as fast as I can. That was one little limitation we noticed with this kind of overlays, that we don't know what the lists are, technically speaking, until the moment the die is cast. So who will have initiative in this instance? Will it be have either of them made initiative bid in this instance?
So both of Luke's lists are clocking in at 99 points.
So 1 point bid.
The Cobra crew is also clocking in at 99, so this one's going to be down to a roll of the dice.
Could it be that was the reason Duncan chose that list for the initiative bid, rather than risking losing initiative to a list that has more in it, shall we say?
It's an interesting question. I think his double Y-Wing plus Shara Bay list, he would be able to do fairly well without an initiative bid, because everything's clocking in at pilot skill 8 or 6, so he's got a decent pilot skill advantage there. I'm interested to see that he's gone for the assault missile list, just because there is nothing forcing Luke to fly in formation or keep his ships close together. the Cobra Crew lists feels very much like it's designed to deal with TIE swarms, like 5-6 ship lists, that sort of thing. Whereas it's quite easy for Luke to scatter his ships apart, approach from multiple vectors, and minimise the effect that those assault missiles will have. I mean, they're still pokey audience.
Oh yeah, they're going to be a problem at what? And it seems we have a role for initiative there, and I think that was a focus. I believe the initiative will then switch to Duncan. We'll quickly find out. I believe, is there a conflict of pilot skill coming in this match?
So we've got 9 for Wedge, 8 for Aaron. The Outer Rim Smuggler, I think, will be at a 2. The Dagger Squadron's a 4. So no, we don't actually have any pilot skill. Oh no, we do. The Wedge and Talonbane overlap.
So that'll be
whichever
the
one of
key
those
thing.
go downs first.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. And looks like we have asteroids being put in there. So we've got 3 debris and 3 asteroids. Interesting choice by both players. I believe Duncan would have chose the asteroids, whereas maybe it would have been Luke that gone for the debris, not being as confident with the asteroids as an experienced player would be. Which they are kind of the weaker element almost. You still can fire if you land on them.
They do dish out a point of stress though, so they've got that potentially lingering consequence.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying you're gonna want to land on them.
Oh no,
but,
absolutely. They are. I'd agree with you that they are, generally speaking, the more forgiving obstacle to fly around. It's going to be quite a crowded board as well, because we've got 4 ships on either side. All of the obstacles they've picked are reasonably sizable ones. We've got none of the really like sort of tiny asteroids or anything in play there. So I think we're going to potentially see some like obstacle overlaps here, or at the very least, people having to do some careful flying.
I do think that should be the case here. The asteroids are pretty spread out, but there's even more that kind of limits barrel potential as well for a lot of ships, which I believe the Kizarax does have a barrel roll option.
This particular one does, because it's got some vectored thrusters.
There you go. So who's your money on in kind of the in terms of pure list at this stage?
In terms of pure list, I think I'd probably go money on for Duncan here, because he's got a lot of raw firepower in the ordnance on those Z95s, and Talonbane Cobra, if he can get into range 1, is just completely capable of destroying ships outright.
I can't help but agree with you. I think Talonbane will be the key factor in this match. I think the named pilots on Luke's side will help him out, especially with Aaron Kraken, but I just don't think it's enough. I don't think the generics are enough. I mean, yeah, you got Wedge. Wedge is fantastic. Come on, Wedge is always good. But I don't know. Does he hit hard enough? And I think without any upgrades, especially Predator for those rerolls, he's relying on his actions, and without the chance of saving a target lock to get a focus next round, there's not a guaranteed hit of getting 3 or 4 hits, because the more, if you have a target lock and a focus, your chances of getting 3 hits, I think, jump to about in the 90s area. Chance is not
a guarantee.
Not a guarantee, but we don't do guarantees here. They come with washing machines. But we'll soon find out if maybe we're wrong. I mean, we could just be wrong about this.
One of the interesting things to me about Duncan's list is that there are some cluster missiles on Talonbane, which to me feel like a slightly unsynergistic addition. They're range 1 to 2. And Talonbane's ability is doubling the effects of his range bonuses.
Yeah.
So I guess they're there for some range 2 insurance.
Which you want to be at range 3, surely. That's what I think.
Absolutely. You want to be at range 3 or at range 1. So, I mean, I'm not... Who knows? Duncan's probably got a strong plan behind them. But if it was me, I'd be going for range 2 to 3 ordnance on him. Something like a homing missile, or just a concussion missile, if you're looking for some range 3 punch.
I can see that. I can see that you need the range 3 punch, but and I completely agree with you that being forced to go into range 2 for that alpha strike almost would mean that you're putting yourself at disadvantage. You're not utilising the points that you've spent. You spent points on the pilot skill and the ability. If you're only using half of that, you're not really getting your full money's worth.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is it might be there for things like decimators and the ghost, where you've got 0 agility, and just being able to pour
as much damage as
dice
possible.
on.
Yeah, that could be the true benefit there. Yeah, I still don't know if it's enough because those big ships, they're tanky, and there's one in this list here. We have a big ship on the table, and look at that. Look, I love the models are so gorgeous in this game. I love this game. I do. That's one of the reasons I started playing this game. I saw a post on the Fantasy Flight forums just the other day, which was talking like, would you still buy this game if the models were painted? Were not painted. And I was like, no, I got into this game because I am a terrible painter and they're already pre-painted. Brilliant. And I love Star Wars, of course. So
The Star Wars factor was a big draw for me, but pre-painted was a huge factor as well.
it's kind of the clinching deal.
I'm a 40k player as well for my sins, and if like me you've got an Imperial Guard army, you've had enough of model painting by the time you're done with that.
So we have deployment here. I didn't actually see who deployed first out of between Luke's wedge and Duncan's Talonbane, but I'm sure we'll see the maneuver. It says who has the initiative.
We'll keep a close eye on that.
Yeah.
Something that I do like that Luke's done here, and it's something that a lot of players just neglect the fact that they can do, is he's gone for angled deployments on his X-wing.
That's a very
his
advanced
Z95.
maneuver. That's a very advanced maneuver for people to do. You don't often see it. I have a thing where I have to do it at 45-degree angles, or I just lose my mind. But yeah, and he's done it to go around the refield. Now, you've got to think, the angle is going to play a key here, because it means that he's less likely to get things in arc when it's close, and he's more likely to catch things, and the things are most likely to not get him in arc. So would the extra few degrees help in this instance? I have kind of theorized, if you have like 5 extra degrees on you, you could potentially get things in arc more often. Like, for example, if you're coming up, you can bank around sooner, even though you may look you're going away. It's something which I'm meant to play with. We'll get the overlay up for you soon. I'm actually currently doing that. We'll leave Robin for the play-by-play right now while I quickly finish on getting us sorted.
So perhaps unsurprisingly, we've got a fairly slow approach from Duncan here. With those missiles on his Z95s, he wants to make sure that initial engagement is at range 3. Whereas Luke does seem to be playing a little more for like fast, slightly aggressive play. If I was him and the movement he's gone for on the outer rim smuggler there, I think he's trying to get that into a position where it can move in, it can potentially get a block on someone, and just generally make itself a nuisance and clog up the board. That large base there, particularly with the sizable obstacles we've got in there, the fact that there's like not a huge amount of space between them, means that large base can really obstruct some approaches here. Okay, and we've got Talonbane Cobra moving in a little more speedily than the rest, which makes sense. He wants to close range as quickly as he can. That also means that Duncan has taken the initiative here.
It's very interesting to see a outer rim smuggler on the board, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not often you see one of those. They generally are considered not to be very points effective, plus with their lowered stat line compared with the named pilots, it makes them not as survivable.
I'm very interested to see if with Heroes of the Resistance, the generic we get with that uses the full stat line rather than that like reduced outer rim smuggler one.
I think they're not going to make the same mistake twice. I will hold my breath for that, but who knows? I'm hopeful that the generic Falcon in that one will have the improved stat line in some degree. I think a lot of people said that maybe they should have had the stat increase be part of the title, but I don't know whether that should be the case. Because people say, well, 12 points for one attack dice on Dengar. Why? And that's because you've got to consider what an extra attack dice is a big investment, quite surprisingly, especially since you can just slop it on there. Not many ships can just put an upgrade on there and get an extra attack dice. So that is very effective.
I think the real thing where it suffers, it wasn't seeing much competitive play at any point, but the Outer Rim Smuggler, after the release of the Contracted Scout, just the 2 extra points you're paying for it for very little.
Yeah.
In terms of additional capability, and arguably a substantially worse style.
Arguably, yeah. I can agree with you there. It's not a fantastic dial, really.
And that's a big 4 forward movement there from
Ooh.
the Outer Rim Smuggler. He is really trying to make
He's
sure
getting in
he is
there.
getting into it as close as possible.
Thing is, I think maybe he's going a bit too fast at this point. He may not. He may find that Outer Rim Smuggler is destroyed by the time his other ship managed to catch up with the Outer Rim Smuggler, and that could change the face of the game entirely.
So we've got a slow 1 forward there from that Z95, and I think we are about to see a target lock go down. That Outer Rim Smuggler is about to take at least 1 assault missile here, and I'd be. Oh no, it might just be the one. That Z95 hasn't banked in, which is what I was anticipating there. Duncan converging his firing arcs, but he might still be okay for arc there. A little bit difficult to judge with the Millennium Falcon eclipsing its base there.
He may not have actually just thought that Luke would go head first full in like that. I certainly wouldn't have expected it. It's not something you'd often see a player do. You don't commit to something that far in advance. You try and keep things together rather than fast. And that B-Wing, it doesn't move fast.
It's very true. I think what Luke really needs to do here is close his ships as quickly as possible and try and capitalise on the fact that those 2 bottom Z95s don't have any defensive dice modification. They've got target locks, which are great for getting those missiles away, but no focus tokens does mean that they are relying on just pure unmodified green dice, which is always a dangerous place to be.
Never a good thing just to rely on the dice. Generally that ends up hosing you more than anything. But we'll see where the dice fall, because sometimes the dice can work for you. We all know it's all random, but we like to think that the dice are on our side sometimes. And sometimes they absolutely hate us with a burning passion that will never be taken out. Oh, and there's Talabane, so that proves that Duncan does indeed have the initiative distance, so it's quite likely he did try and risk the bid for the initiative there. I'm not sure whether that'll give him it'll give him a positional advantage over the lower fleet. However, Wedge is going to be the problem. But although Wedge doesn't have any after maneuver, post maneuvering actions.
Yeah, I think having the first shot here, is going to be useful, and it does mean that Talonbane in a pinch can potentially act as a blocker against Wedge. It's not what you want to do, but just if you have to. If
it's there and you have to maneuver into where if you just happen to have to move into where Wedge is going to end up, then so be it. It's just a happy after effect, I guess. Right, we're nearly there with the overlay, which is good because we may have some engagement soon.
Okay, so it does look like Luke is concentrating his firing arcs in. I think he's not going to be able to benefit from Aaron Kraken's ability this turn, by the look of things. That's going to be a bit beyond range 1 across to Wedge there, unfortunately.
And it looks like we've got an attack here from Talonbane over to the B-Wing. Ooh,
range is going to be important here. If he can get those cluster missiles away, that will definitely be helpful. Yeah, and he's by the look of it, Duncan is strongly considering burning his glitter stim.
Yeah, I don't get why he actually target locked with Talonbane Cobra, because he has, besides the cluster missiles, of course, as you say, they're range 1 to 2. He's not going to get range of that B-Wing. Next time, most likely, because the B-Wings like to go slow.
Okay, it looks like we might actually be on the fringes of range 2 here, because Duncan has used his glitter stim. He's firing the cluster missiles, and that means that that's going to be 2 very heavily modified shots there. Because it's a dagger squadron, so only the 1 dice reroll from Predator there, but all of those focuses go straight into hits. All 2 hits and a blank, and then let's
guidance chips. No, he doesn't have guidance chips.
But the Predator reroll, and the glitter stim pops that through for 3 hits on the B-Wing.
That's respectable on a B-Wing. They don't like to take damage at all.
I think. Was that an evade?
That looks like an evade to me.
So 2 shields off.
2 shields off. I will quickly check that, and I believe there does a B-Wing just the B-Wing removed 2 of its shields, down to 3.
And another 3 hits thanks to the glitter stim.
Awesome.
The glitter stim was a very good call there.
And there's a focus result. He doesn't have a focus to spend, so there's all the shields gone on the B-Wing, and already that B-Wing is hurting down to 3 hull left. And on that note, let us bring up the overlays. So let me bring that across here. And bing, ding dong. There we go. So yeah, I think the problem with Luke's list is he didn't focus on synergy with upgrades. He's got synergy with Kraken. Wedge works in any list so long as you have the space for him, but I just don't think it's going to work for him.
I think as well, quite reasonably, Luke's been a bit intimidated by those assault missiles and has spread his ships out more than he really wanted to. So I'm assuming this is Wedge's shot going for one of those Z95s. That's 2 hits.
It's 2 hits on the Z95, and that is painful. That's Z95, which I'm going to label as Black Squadron number 4. And let's do 3 over here and 2 up there. Makes sense. So 4 has just lost both its shields. Ouch.
If he can manage to get a lucky shot in here with Aaron, if he can manage to take those 2 remaining points of hull off, he's going to need some luck to do it. But if he can manage that and stop that that Z95 from getting its ordnance load away, that puts him in a much stronger position.
Agreed. He's checking range there. I don't believe he has a range 1 bonus there for Kraken's ability.
No.
Which is a shame, because it probably Kraken is usually the first one to go on a list. Although by the looks of it, maybe the Dagger Squadron that's going to go down first. Here's the attack 2, 1 hit. Not very good there, and I believe that's an evade. Yeah, we've got an evade, so we're fine there.
Okay. Are we going to see a check for arc here?
I'm not sure we're going to go with this one. It's going to be a close one. I still think the favour is on Duncan's side. If you look at Duncan's side of the board, he has less hull and shields compared to the left-hand Luke's side, but I think the upgrades are what shifted it in his favour, personally.
Okay, so where's our Dagger Squadron going to take his shot?
I believe here I see some green dice being picked up, so red dice as well. So the B-Wing is attacking, 3 dice, 1 hit, 2 hits there, and an evade, so that's 1 hit.
That's the shield off Talonbane Cobra.
Well, that's the one shield which Talonbane has. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. It worked.
That's not a bad bit of damage to have done, though. Talonbane is the strongest component of Duncan's list.
Yeah.
And now he's vulnerable to every crit that comes his way.
He's the focal point. And there's 2 hits right there from the Black Sun soldier, I believe, on returning fire on the B-Wing. And there's an evade, so that's 1 hit on the B-Wing. And there's a card being taken, and it's put on the B-Wing, so the B-Wing is taking a single point of damage.
I think the B-Wing is going to be very lucky if it gets to shoot next turn.
I completely agree. I think it will be going down next round. And here we see the power of having a higher pilot skill. Talonbane just wrecked the B-Wing in the first engagement of the actual match. And here we got some assault missiles going off.
I think that might be a danger to Wedge there, actually. I'm not certain, but we definitely need a range check there.
I do think that may hurt Wedge. That's a good play if he's doing it. So there goes the assault missiles. They're now discarded.
2 hits.
Well, he's got guidance chips at least.
If he remembers them.
If he remembers them. That's the key thing. People always forget guidance chips.
There we go.
There we go. That's 3 hits.
So that's definitely going to be hitting and damaging the Outer Rim Smuggler.
And there's that.
3 shields off the Smuggler.
Gone.
And if we get a range check, are we going to see Wedge taking some damage here?
Yeah, he's pointing at Wedge. It looks like we may have a point on Wedge. And they're measuring, or is it they're just going to take it as red? They're taking it as red.
I think they're eyeballing that one, but that's still a point of damage on Wedge, and that's a good opening.
Yeah, that's a very good opening. To do 2 damage, such a good damage on 2 ships, even if it's just 1 little ping of something else, it's something which you don't often get.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that extra round of. I like assault missiles for that reason. They're very hard to make work for you, but if you make them work for you, they're great. And here we have.
I think
that's just out.
That's looking out to me.
It's looking out to me. He's checking. I don't know. Oh, looks like they're doing it. Oh, no. I can see. I think that's assault missiles.
They're saying that one's in. Okay, fair enough.
He's doing it again to make sure that Wedge takes another damage. And there we go. That's 4 hits, I believe, right there. Oof, ouch.
That is bad.
There's an evade dice, so he takes only 3, but that's still a shield taken off the Outer Rim Smuggler, the last shield, and 2 hull. Ouch. The Outer Rim Smuggler, again, Duncan's doing a great job. He's split his forces, but he's converging fire where he can.
Yeah.
And again, Wedge takes another shield off because he's so close. It's the first time I've really seen assault missiles being used so effectively, I think, personally. All right, then. Let's hear it, where this goes.
And then we've got the Outer Rim Smuggler who...
Yeah, the Outer Smuggler, who's the last one with a pilot skill of 1. So he moves first, but attacks last. He's got a 360 turret. Oh, that was the 95, it seems. Wonder what that was. Because the Outer Smuggler has 2. Yes, so that's a hit and a crit onto...
Pops a shield off the undamaged. So number 3 there.
Number 3. Cool, awesome. So number 3 takes a single shield off.
So after that opening turn of combat, advantage is definitely in Duncan's court. Having said that, if Luke can manage to focus down one of those Z95s, maybe block another, he can potentially start to pull something back here. There's only 2 hull left on the Black Sun Soldier number 4, so that isn't necessarily long for this world.
No, it's not, and I have to admit, the advantage is looking a bit closer in favour of Luke in this stage, I think, because Luke has indeed stripped the shields off a lot of things there, and there's not a lot of hull to chew through on those E95s. There is the Deadman switch to consider, but we'll see whether that comes into play very much.
I was on the receiving end of a list a little bit akin to this that Duncan was running at a tournament I attended that he'd nicknamed the Suicide Squad because there were just so many Deadman switches going on there, and they cost my VCX dearly.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess with 0 agility, there's not much you can do about it.
You're taking a lot of damage from the Z95s, and then when the Z95s explode, you're taking some more damage.
Oh, dear me. But yeah, I think the favour is in Duncan's side because Luke's side, because he's taken a lot away from Duncan. That being said, Duncan's done a lot more damage than Luke has, so there is that to consider. But he has spent a lot of his ordnance to do so.
I think we need to see what's happening here. The Outer Rim Smugglers
crashing, and I think going over an asteroid.
That is an interesting move. I'd have gone for a hard turn in there myself
Yeah,
and try and block that like vector of approach.
I completely agree. Well, it's not over the asteroid, and he's not
Not over the
landing on
asteroid.
it, but he is bumping, so he does lose his action, unfortunately.
Not too terrible on an Outer Rim Smuggler.
No.
They've only got 1 agility
It's
and only 2 attack dice,
It's
so
got
it's not.
4 hull left. It's probably going to die before it even gets a chance to attack this turn. So, to be absolutely blunt. So, yeah, who knows? I do think Talonbane up there is going to be the key thing. He's got stress. He's going to have to remove that stress. He wants to perform an action. And here comes Black Sun Soldier number 2 with a sweeping 2 turn there, turning into the engagement zone. Definitely going to catch the Falcon in arc there. I keep calling it the Falcon. It's just Outer Rim Smuggler. It's not got the Falcon title. So
It's difficult not to, though.
yeah, you kind of call ships like that. When you see a fire spray, you call it the Slave One. When you see a Lancer, you call it the Shadowcaster.
Every time I've flown a VCX, it's been the Ghost.
It's been the Ghost, even if it's not got the Ghost title, which is a good title for the Ghost.
I think we're going to see a very interesting potential block here from the Dagger Squadron. As Talonbane is stressed, the Kirax doesn't actually go slow that well, particularly if you need to like bleed some of your stress off. It does have 1 banks, but a bank in either direction, like a bank to its left, it potentially runs into some problems with that Z95, and a bank to the right is potentially quite easy to block.
Let's have a look at that dial. Let's find out what that dial kind of looks like right now. So the dial for Talonbane Cobra is not that great. I imagine the Kizrax Fighter has a 1 bank, but it doesn't have a 1 forward. It has a 2 forward, but it also has a 2 bank. I think maybe a 2 bank would put him squarely just ahead and to the right of Black Sun Soldier number 2. So he could go for that. However, if Luke's a very smart player, he would have judged that to 2 forward, block Talonbane, and avoid the attack, because when you bump, you don't get to attack each other.
And if he can manage to do it in a way that he can also keep arc on that Z95, he can potentially dish out some really meaningful damage, stop that dagger from going down this turn.
He'd get a range 1 bonus.
Yeah.
Speaking of range 1 bonus, that Outer Rim Smuggler is definitely going to get a range 1 bonus on Black Sun Soldier number 3 there.
So we do now have quite an interesting situation. He's not gone for the block with the Outer Rim Smuggler, but the Outer Rim Smuggler's escaped both of the Z95's arcs there. And that looks to me like he is trying for that block, and I think
he might just get it.
Arc on that
Yeah.
Z95 as well. That is a very nice piece of positioning.
Very nice. Kind of a very advanced move for a new beginner. Oh, and now he's completely ruined it. Unfortunately,
I think he's going for the block on Talonbane.
I don't know. I mean, it could be that Duncan may have anticipated the block and banked to the right to miss that. However, I don't know. I don't think Duncan would fall for that. I think Duncan would probably go for a 2 forward or even even not remove the stress and just go for a white maneuver, get past the B-wing. And there's a 1 bank from the Z95. This is what I was talking about. I think he's just caught it out of arc. Sadly,
I think that's going to be very, very
it's a
tight.
very, very tight arc there. I don't know whether he has it. We'll soon find out when engagement happens. But they are moving in pilot skill from lowest to highest right now. Speaking of lowest to highest, we've got the first 9, which is Talonbane Cobra, because Duncan has the initiative.
And my prediction here is going to be a T bank into the left. Oh, 1 bank.
He's a 1 bank.
That's quite tight, but that is going to clear. That's a neat bit of formation flying.
It's worth of note. Had Luke stayed where he was, he would have blocked Talonbane. So I think Luke overcomplicated his maneuvering there, and now he's left the B-wing without a target entirely.
As a newer player, though, when you've got that barrel roll maneuver available to you, it's very difficult to call when you want to use it and when you don't.
It's also very easy to get into the trap of moving to get arc on where opponent is now, rather than where they will be, assuming they've not already moved, of course. And Wedge Antilles coming there. Has got a nice range band shot on his own ship, and possibly even Tala number 4. Black Sun Soldier number 4. I keep calling them Talas. I'm so used to them being rebels. Because, of course, the Z95 is a ship which can be used by both rebels and scum. For any players who in the stream. Speaking of that, who's in the chat right now? Give us a hurrah if you're in the chat. Hello, Nimkar. EVE Online in table format. I guess you can kind of call it that. It's more X-Wing in table format. The X-Wing simulator game from many, many, many years ago. Eve Darien. Big draw for me is the well-painted miniatures. Shame can't be said for a Star Wars attack wing. Well, yeah, it's such a shame. And there's the first an attack. And there's
I think that's going to be three more.
Yeah, 3 damage on the Admiral Smuggler, and he's down to 1 hull point left. He's probably not going to survive the next the shot from the top. Who knows? He may survive the shot from the Black Sun Soldier. We don't know. He could completely fluff the roll.
It's worth noting that the target lock the Black Sun Soldier's got is on the Dagger Squadron, so he's not going to take advantage of that. He's only going to have the focus.
Don't forget the target lock is actually from the Dagger onto the Black Sun Soldier. So yeah, the blue target lock is the owner, and the red is the one who is target locked. Tech Wing doesn't have great painted models, but I compensate by getting someone awesome to paint my models for me.
Your custom painted ships are a thing of beauty, I have to say.
Yeah, I've not had any done for X-Wing. I've not commissioned any for X-Wing. I really should.
I keep looking at the X-Wing models, and I keep like, I could try painting some of them, but I know they're not going to end up looking as nice as they do.
I had a botched Falcon which I received a while back, and I actually asked FFG for a replacement model, and they very graciously sent one to me. That was ages ago. 1 hit there, I believe. There's a reroll there from a target lock. I believe that was from range 1 of the Tala. Yep. Iron Kraken and an evade, and I think there was not anything happening there.
There's Wedge not. Maybe Wedge doesn't have arc.
I don't think Wedge has arc. Maybe that was decided. Oh, that was Wedge's shot.
But I think that was Wedge without the range 1 bonus.
Yeah, that was unusual. That's a rookie mistake made by Luke.
If you're new to the game, there is quite a lot to keep in mind, to keep track of, and range modifiers are definitely one of those things that I've forgotten a lot in the past.
Yeah, and here's a range 1 benefit there. There's spending that focus to get 3 hits on Wedge, and that could kill Wedge if Wedge does not roll at least 1 evade or a focus. He does have a focus. He may spend for modification. There's a focus and a evade. Spend the focus, get 2 evades, only suffer 1 damage. Best thing to do.
One of the things that I think we're seeing with Luke's list as well is because he's a new player, he may not have access to some of the newer upgrades that can really add to the T65 survivability. So there's no astromech on there. There's no integrated astromech.
It looks like Black Sun Soldier number 4 is going to try and finish off Wedge with that will do it. It's a hit and a hit. So that's enough to kill Wedge if Wedge fluffs his roll.
He's at the mercy of the green dice.
Yes, he's got no modification. He has to roll at least one natural evade if he wants to survive that exchange. And Wedge going down would completely change the entire game because that's the biggest heavy gun. And that's it. That's Wedge gone.
Oof,
that's the first blood to Duncan. The first ship destroyed is Wedge. And it's arguably probably the best ship in Luke's entire arsenal there. That's going to change things dramatically. Ouch. Ouch. That's not what you want to see. So let's update the points here. So Wedge is, of course, with 29 points. However, we've also lost half the points on the Outer Rim Smuggler.
Yes.
So that's 27 points as well, combined with that. That's 27 points. Half of that round... Is it round up, I believe?
I think it's rounded up.
So that'll be 14.
Ooh. And that's 2 hits coming across from that Z95, which is going to take the Outer Rim Smuggler off the
Yeah,
board.
that's it. It can't evade it. So actually, it's the entire... I was just doing calculations, all for naught, and there we go. And it's an evade, but unfortunately, it's one less than you need. And that's where, if you had the Falcon title, you would actually have an evade token and possibly have survived. It shows that just the right upgrades can help. And that's 56 points of Luke's list completely taken out there. Eep.
Luke is in a bit of a bad situation now because he's not been able to take anything off the board. And whilst those Z95s are only putting through 2 dice of firepower apiece, it does stack up, particularly against the 1 and 2 agility ships that are left on the board. I think Luke's best hope here is to try and claw that B-wing round as quickly as he can, get a shot set up on something and see if he can get some points off the board and start to score himself.
Yeah.
It's a real shame about that barrel roll last turn. If he'd been able to keep that block on Talonbane, we'd see less damage on the Outer Rim Smuggler. It would still be on the board. And he would have had such a strong shot against that Z95.
Yeah, he could have taken out number 2 completely with a 4 dice attack at range 1. He could have completely taken the back out of the equation. That would have then meant that the Outer Rim Smuggler would have survived one more round. There's so much knock-on effect there. He's made a few mistakes, but you learn from your mistakes. I'm hoping that this first experience in a tournament setting will help Luke expand his game. I hope he watches this back as well for the analysis and seeing how he does. Very brave of him for a new player to kind of come and also come on the stream as well. And there's a K-turn from Blackstone Soldier 4.
Someone possibly for help with the rules.
Yeah, sure. I'll be right back. I'll leave you in the hands of Robin.
So, K-turn round from one of the Blackstone Soldiers. I'm assuming a bank in from number 3 there as well. He's trying to focus and hard turn, but he is still bringing his ship around, focusing arc on where he expects Air and Kraken to be, and I think we're going to see quite a lot of hurt dished out at this point. Another target lock being set up. And a 3 forwards there. I think... Oh no, that's another K-turn. So he is very much trying to set up shots on both ships. It's the right call here. I'm going to be interested to see what we have happen from Talonbane, as I'm not confident that Talonbane's K-turn will be able to clear that rock. So I think Talonbane may just need to reposition this turn, put himself into a place to get some shots the following round, and there we go, the 2K. Which hopefully is going to leave him with a shot on Talonbane. I think he's definitely out of arc for Black Sun Soldier number 2. And are we going to see a 3K there from Aaron? Difficult to tell, but that's my anticipation here. There we go. So not very much dice modification going to be happening this round. We're looking at a lot of stressed ships. If Luke can manage to survive through this turn, he's in a position to potentially try and gain back a little bit of ground. Where is Talonbane going? Talonbane, I think, is going to be sliding into the side of that Black Sun Soldier, which leaves Luke with a decent shot there. It's going to be range 3, so we're suddenly looking at 4 dice there on Talonbane. But even so, that is all unmodified dice. There is a chance to put some meaningful damage through, and a well-timed crit at this point could really spoil Talonbane's day.
There was a exchange where the ghost had bumped into a punishing one or a jump master, and it couldn't tell whether it was an arc, and it was just by the nubs, just in. It was amazing. All right, here we go. We're into firing, I believe.
We are, yes. I think we've.
Yep, here we go. It's in 5.
So this is Aaron Kraken taking a shot, presumably on Black Sun Soldier number 4.
Right, and nothing happened there. It seems complete whiff. We have got some damage come through. We've got one left on the. One hit on the Dagger Squadron pilot, so we've got 2 hull left on that. Kraken is still untouched, but
I think that's not going to last for long.
Yeah, that's not going to last for long.
Okay, so we've got the Dagger Squadron has got arc on Talonbane. I think this is going to be
a range 3, which means he doubles his range bonus, so he actually gets 4 agility dice, which is more than an A-wing at range.
But all unmodified.
All modified. So there's a hit crit, I believe there.
Now, if this crit can go through, that could be a valuable asset at this point. And
only
one
one
evade.
evade.
So we're looking at a hit and a crit, and Talonbane is suddenly looking a lot less healthy than he was before.
So there's at least 2 going down there. But will we see a direct hit, I wonder?
Oh, have we got 3 damage going through?
Oh, we got 3 going through. Ouch.
Not sure what the crit is. That's...
He takes a stress token.
He takes a stress token. Okay, that's not terrible, but it does stop him from K-turning next turn. So Talonbane probably isn't going to be getting any shots for at least the next turn of combat. I would think.
Whoa! What happened there? I have no idea what's going on here. Excuse me. Sorry. Don't you love technical glitches?
At least the stream's up. That's a step up on Wednesday.
A step up from Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. Let me sort that out. Ding, ding, ding. Remind me never to use the actual... There we go. There we go. Right. Crisis averted. Right, so here we go. I don't see Kraken lasting more than 2 rounds.
No.
It's equal dice against each other, 2 versus 2, so who knows what it could bring.
It's range 3
that's
as
enough.
Well, so Kraken
That's
is...
enough.
He's dodging.
Yeah.
He's very, very nimble for a Z95.
Dodging, weaving, and diving, and there's another couple of hits there. That could be enough. That was blanks, I believe. So that's 2 shields gone on Kraken, and just like that, Kraken's on half health.
Kraken's in a much more dangerous
He's
situation.
In a very dangerous situation at this point.
Because Talonbane is, for all that he can't K-turn and come round to bring his attention towards the B-Wing, he is in a fantastic position to move in towards Aaron, and I think given his ability, he's not going to get the range 1 shot this turn. I wouldn't. But he's still a 3 attack dice ship with Predator on there as well. So
yeah, it's one of those things, and the B-Wing just is not going to be able to catch up in time to defend Kraken. The B-Wing moves very slow. It's got a stress token. It wants to clear that, so it can't do a 3 bank. It can't do a 4 forward. So it's either got to do a 2 bank, which won't clear its stress, or it's got to do a slow roll, which it's going to take forever to get in range. The only thing it's going to be in range of is Talon number 2, which is K-turned and is prepared to engage that Dagger Squadron, which it can. It's Dagger Squadron 2 health.
Interestingly, it looks like we may have slightly lost track of some of the damages. It looks like both number 2 and number 3 don't have any shields for the Black Sun soldiers.
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right.
No, I think what's happened is, so I think 4 and possibly 3.
4 and 3 have lost their
shields. Number 2's got 1 shield remaining.
A K-Town. I'm not sure where that's going to fit.
If that doesn't fit, that definitely helps Luke.
That doesn't fit, I don't think.
So that's stress and
pointing in the wrong direction. He needs to capitalize on that.
Yeah,
he does need to capitalize on that. It's a shot. He's not going to be shot at. We know that much. So that's a good, and that's going to leave Duncan in a very difficult position to get him out of there. At least unstressed. He's going to have to turn and keep the stress. That's going to leave that poor Black Sun soldier in a very vulnerable position. However, it's too little too late for that mistake. I think at this point, Duncan can afford that one mistake.
Yeah. And Aaron's stressed at this point as well, so he's going to need to
Yeah.
green maneuver to clear something here.
Yes.
He can't afford not to have dice modification fundamentally at this point in time. He's only got 2 hull remaining. Not being able to focus is very bad news for him. So
I think splitting up his forces at the beginning for Luke was a wise move, but I think he split them up too much to the point where Aaron's ability did not come into play. Although he's got high pilot skill and you're paying for that, you're not getting the benefit of the ability either.
yeah,
So I think that cost
he
him.
got a little bit unlucky
Yes.
with the assault missiles.
Yeah, he
onto
did.
Wedge as well, because
Yeah.
that really hampered Wedge's longevity.
The thing is, that's why you've got to keep an eye on your opponent's list. If they're running assault missiles, it kind of says to you, okay, don't fly anywhere near each other. Keep separated. If your fleet relies on being together, then you're kind of in a mistake. That's where Kraken would have been a negative effect on the entire exchange. Maybe that's why he kept things more separated. And there's a 2 banks who's keeping stress.
Now this is a solid move.
Yeah.
From Luke here.
He's got a range 1 shot, unmodified.
That's a range 1 shot. But there is the target lock there.
He does have the target lock from previous rounds.
And those 4 dice could potentially take that Black Sun Soldier off the board. And if he can do that, no return fire, that Dagger Squadron is still a danger, still a threat in the background.
Yeah. If he were to shoot, he could shoot at Talonbane. I think it would be wasted. He wants to shoot at Black Sun Soldier number 2. He could completely eliminate it from the board with only 2 attack dice. He's got
that 4 forward is interesting. He's keeping the stress, but he may just have cleared arc. I don't think he has quite, but that was
a bold move.
Bold move, yeah.
It's gonna be. He seems to be trying to keep out of the way, and here comes Talonbane with a very bold 3 bank to get range from the B wing.
Stress.
He wants to get range on the B wing, so the B wing can't kill it because he gets. Hold on, why are you doing that?
Why is that barrel roll happening? There's still.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh no, he cleared his stress last turn. The stress is for the.
Yes, this is
the Z95.
No, because Z95 did a 1 bank, one forward. It would have cleared its stress. It did clear its stress.
I think that may just be a stray point of stress on the board then at this point in time.
I'm hoping so. That'd be very unfortunate. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. He does have vector thrusters, so we can do a barrel roll. And I think he might actually just be out of arc of the B-wing, but who knows? Key thing is though, B-wing doesn't want to shoot at Talonbane. He wants to shoot at that Black Sun Soldier. That's the key thing.
I'm trying to remember what the K-turns are on the Keough style as well, because he might be
5 K-turn is one of them, I believe.
He might be drifting a bit close to the board edge to be able to K-turn round.
It's a 5 K-turn, but I think that's a shorter one as well. Let me double check that. It has a 5 and a 4. 4 would be pushing it.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to maneuver a little bit carefully.
And here's the mistake again. He's going for Talonbane. He thinks he can kill Talonbane. It's a fallacy. Talonbane's got 4 dice, no modification, but
it's a gamble.
It's a gamble.
But what he's not doing is he's not taking the ship off the board that can hurt him.
Yes. Yeah, he's not getting the range 1 bonus. And look at that. He now, if he had a target lock, he could. Why are you re-rolling? He opted to go for the Tal after all. But why didn't you re-roll the entire thing?
Why isn't he rolling the extra?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Why isn't why isn't he re-rolling the focus? You can re-roll the focus if you do that.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. There we go.
And I think that was being rolled for the extra range 1 there as well. So a little bit out of order there, but that's
enough.
That's I think going to be enough.
That's enough.
I think that's the 3 damage required.
It also could be that Duncan, being the very sporting man that he is, decided to give selling. You can spend that to re-roll all of them. But that
a lot of the time in the X-Wing community, you will see players who are very willing to sort of mentor and support a new player, and it's just good for the community in general if you're doing that as well.
Okay, that's a very good play from Luke to kill the Tala. It's now going to mean it's not going to return fire at him because it is before its pilot skill 3 activation phase for the combat. So it means he's not going to get shot at. The B-wing survives for another round, and it could be that Aaron survives for another round. However, with the stress token, he's not turning around quickly. There's a debris in his way. He's going to have to bank. It means it's probably going to be a 1 bank if he wants to clear, or another 2 if he wants to get distance. But there's still Black Sun Soldier number 3, which can do a K-turn.
If nothing else, it's some points.
Yes, it is.
So he's not going to be going 100-0 here.
Oh, that's a very close one. I don't like lasers. They're too inaccurate for my liking.
I'm a great believer in them as long as they're used right, and you really need that kind of elbow.
Yeah,
elbows
on the table, brace against the table. Yeah.
But they are going for the range ruler here, which I think is very reasonable given just how tight this is. It's impossible for us to call on camera, I would say, actually.
Yeah,
That's-
that's a really close one. If dice are rolled, we'll soon know if it's in arc. But I think for me, I think it's out. I think Luke is just. Yep, they managed to get it out. They've gone to
nice.
dials. Very masterful stroke there by Luke.
I was really dubious about that 4 forwards, but it was a good call there.
It turned out to be the good call. Well, that for that turn maybe, but he's now start going the wrong direction away from the engagement with a stress token, unable to turn around very quickly with the debris field potentially in his way.
That is very true.
Now, the bold play would be to 3 bank just right over that and pass that debris field.
Get the double stress, but get some distance. Put yourself in a position where your opponent isn't going to expect.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen that
Yeah.
in every level of competitive play.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was, what was it, the 2015 Worlds, Paul Heaver just burned forwards across an obstacle and completely
Sometimes you've got to do it.
gained advantage by doing so because it's not what his opponent was expecting.
Yeah. He also gets the benefit of the obstacle as well for defense. So he gets an extra dice. And for a range 3 shot, which 3 may have VK turns with 3 and... Yeah.
Suddenly your Z95 is effectively turning into a phantom as it
Yeah.
rolls those 4 defense dice.
And here comes number 4, turning around, as I said, very close. He needs to clear the stress, but he's actually decided, no, I need to get this thing around. And a wise
That's
choice.
going to be a 3k, yep.
Yep. A 2 bank should just take him just to the edge, maybe just at range 3, which gives him a 4 dice bonus. That could just be enough to keep Kraken alive one more round.
As long as he doesn't roll that crit from the debris field.
Indeed.
So yeah, he's coming around there. He's hoping to get a shot on Talonbane.
Now, Talonbane is going to turn to engage or chase Kraken, I think.
Yeah,
I think at this point
I
you'd
think-
switch.
I think the K turn is too risky. I don't think you'd be able to guarantee pulling a 4k off there but without going off the edge of the board.
Yeah.
So yeah, turn in hard. Try and get yourself into a position to do something to Aaron.
Oh, he's not going over. He's not risking it. He's
Now,
doing a 2 bank.
is that 2 bank green on the Z95?
It is
dial?
indeed green, so he does remove the stress. So, but he's... I'm pretty sure that's green on the dial.
I have to admit, I don't fly the Z95 very much, so I would not want
Z85,
to,
2 bank is green. He's
There
not
we go.
removed the stress. Another rookie mistake. Always remove the stress, always take your actions. And that could cost him daily. Actually, that could be Aaron just dead.
He's going for the 4K. It looks like the 4K might actually...
Ooh, it's going to be a close one. I wouldn't do that if I were you. He was looking to see if the 4K
If it
would have been.
done. It's there is always a level of curiosity.
Yeah. And I think it would. Too close for comfort. Unfortunately, that 1 bank is not enough to get him up. If he barrel rolls, he could just scoot out of the arc of the B-wing there, which is where he wants to be.
He might get out of arc.
He's chasing
that
ring
is
around
going to
an
be close again, and putting himself in a position where he doesn't have any dice mods.
Yeah, it's...
If that B-wing's got a shot, that is potentially dangerous.
Especially with modification on Luke's side with the target lock there. So they're playing ring around an asteroid at this point. We'll see if that asteroid can actually come to play because...
The stress has come off Aaron at this point as well.
Yeah, oh, awesome. They just realised that. I assume the 2 would agree to that. And the check-in arc there. Yeah.
I think there is arc. I think we're looking at a shot here. What is that? That's 2 hits.
2
and a
hits.
Focus.
That's enough to kill.
Yeah, spend that target lock. Try and push that damage through. If you can, you just need the 1.
Just need the 1. And as a crit, that could be it. How many... He's... that's it. That's all she wrote for Talonbane Cobra. That's a surprise for me.
This has changed the face of the game a little bit. I would say.
I didn't expect that. I really didn't. I thought Talonbane would survive.
I think there is still marginal advantage
to
Duncan here, but Luke has done a really good showing of pulling this back.
It's worth noting is that range 3, no extra dice rolled. Do you think it could have been that he lost his pilot ability because of the crit?
I guess if he was using the older damage deck.
I'll double check that. I think that he's using the new damage deck, so it's not possible. That was a mistake, obviously. Hit there.
Unless it was just at range 2.
Oh!
That is Aaron cracking.
That's
off the
cracking
board.
down. And that's what you don't want. When you're relying on the green dice, you're inviting failure into the door and saying, welcome to my abode.
We've got an interesting situation now. Because Duncan's got 2 ships. and those 2 dice do quite a lot against 1 agility.
But Luke has initiative.
He's got the higher pilot skill.
Yeah.
So there's no simultaneous fire even. So that dagger squadron can potentially very heavily capitalise on that if he can get arc, get a decent range, and pop one of those Black Suns before they can get a shot.
It all comes down to the dice, because the B-wing can potentially take out a Tala if the Tala rolls badly and the B-wing rolls very well. However, it's quite easy that the Tala that remains can then take the B-wing down with just his 2 dice. All it needs is 2 hits, and the B-wings roll blanks, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's a very close game. It suddenly turned into a very race to the finish scenario. Who can win in this exchange? I wouldn't want to put money on this one now.
I think Duncan needs to be very careful on range control here. If he can get the next exchange of fire at range 3 rather, he's got a marginal advantage, because then it's 2 red dice versus 2 green, 2 red dice versus 2 green, and then 3 reds versus 3 greens for him, which helps a lot. But difficult to know. The B-wing's not stressed as well, so it's got a fully open dial at this point. He's not going to, I imagine, be doing any of those red manoeuvres at speed 3, but what's that? That's the 2. That's probably just going to pop him into range 2 as well by the look of it. I think go for the target lock here, Luke. That's the right call.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, go for it.
You just need to go all out for the offence here.
Yeah.
If you can take that ship off the board, that is the best defence you've got. Don't barrel roll, man.
Don't barrel roll. Do it. Just go for the offence. Go for the throat is what you want to go for at this stage.
Okay, he's going for the barrel roll, but I think what he's doing is trying to provide himself with a bit of extra defence from that asteroid. It's
I think it's a mistake.
I think it's going to cost him.
Yeah, I think it's overly cautious in this instance, and he doesn't want to be cautious. He wants to go full assault and destroy one of the Z95s. And there we go, 2 hits. That's not going to be enough to destroy that Z95.
Unless it blanks. No, that looks...
Nope, that's fine.
That's a strong... Actually, at that point, even with that sort of dice rolling,
even a natural roll couldn't have saved him.
So that's a hit and a focus, so just the 1 hit.
That's an evade.
That's an evade. The B-wing's hanging for a little while longer.
It's holding its own, but the question is how long?
I think we've got another range 3 shot coming across now.
Nothing. A complete exchange of nothing. And if we look at the points here, it's Duncan's 40, the Luke's 24. There's 22 minutes left on the clock. So there's plenty of time to see this through to the end. The question remains...
With the amount of hull that's left on this field, we are not going to go to time.
No, we're not. I'm going to quickly check and make sure the time's accurate. And make sure that we know exactly the time.
So this has become much more of a nail biter than I think we were expecting after those opening couple of turns of fire. Duncan really looked like he had the advantage, but Luke's managed to pull this back, and to some extent you just can't ignore the firepower that a B-wing represents. It's a big gun, and it's a big gun on a durable chassis as well. Now, one potential advantage Duncan has here is he is moving first, so that does give him a potential chance to move those Z95s into awkward positions. And if he can manage to force that B-wing to bump and potentially then overlap that asteroid, that's more or less free damage for him.
All right. I've just been updated that we've actually got 11 minutes left on this clock, so a bit less than I anticipated. I'll adjust the clock as appropriate.
I still don't think we're going to be going to time here, but that is a bit tighter.
But it's a bit tighter than we like, and it's possible one could play for time. I think Luke's put himself in an awkward position where he has to choose. I think a 1 bank would be to the left would be fine.
I think if Luke can get
just
on number 4, he won't be taking any return shots from number 3.
Just whatever you do not barrel roll. Oh, actually, no, barrel roll's not be a bad idea. It means he doesn't get shot at.
Yeah, if he can get himself into a position where he can take a shot and not suffer any mods.
Oh, and there's a stress-induced 3.
That's an asteroid, so decent chance of damage. It's a bump, so no shot. At least he's not going to be taking a shot in return. But
just scoots past it. But still, that's a stress maneuver because that's a red maneuver on the
That's the
dial.
red 3 as well. Yeah.
I will double check that. I believe so. If so,
No, the B wings. The B wings. I think.
yes, it is. It's a 3. I'm gonna go and make sure you push the stress on there because it's very important. It's very important.
Okay, so we are going back to dials here. Luke may be in a difficult situation here, particularly if Elliot is correct about the stress. There we go. That's the stress. So he's going to have to rethink his manoeuvre. I think he would have been going for that short 2k turn, get arc, try and punch some damage through onto a Z95 there, but it's not going to be happening. And the question is, do you try and bleed the stress off, but potentially put yourself in a vulnerable position in doing so, or take a gamble, try and do something to get yourself clear of the field of fire of those Z95s, but run the risk that if they get a shot on you, you then won't have any modification.
If there's a bit of advice you could give to Luke, if he was watching this back, what would it be? Mine would be try and anticipate your opponent's maneuver. So I think he's thinking about where his opponent is now and not where they will be.
Yeah, I think that's a very good call. I would say, don't be afraid to risk focusing on offense. A lot of players, particularly when they're new to the game, and I was as guilty of this as anyone else, got very much into the mindset that the only right call was to try and emphasise your defence as much, try and stop yourself from taking damage. And there are times, particularly with something like a B-wing, where it's worth running the risk of taking an extra point or two of damage, because a focus action...
Number 3 has just taken a damage from the asteroid. That makes it much easier for that thing to go down. It's getting very close. Unfortunately, the B-wing is in a terrible position here where it's not going to get any shots and be shot at by both targets. One at range 3, potentially through a debris field. He's losing one. There we go. Now he's going to get shot by one.
My only concern there is that may have put him a little close to the board edge, because in his initial position, he was in a decent position to do the 2k next turn.
I believe there's a little bit we're missing on the bottom there. But
okay.
I think
there's a bit more board.
I think we're fine. We'll soon find out. We'll very soon find out. That is indeed over the debris field, so... actually, that's a close one to call.
I think that's going to be across the debris field, and I think that's going to be range 3.
Yeah, that's across, definitely.
So that is bumping the B-wing up to 3 dice against a 2 dice attack. It's still purely at the mercy of the green dice, but that is not a terrible result there.
There's enough there to survive.
Go. Luke has got lucky there, though that barrel roll was a very solid call. Reducing the amount of incoming fire was a good plan there. For all that I was saying, emphasise offence where you can. On those turns where you do not have a shot, do everything you can to avoid taking damage.
Yeah, I just quickly switch the numbers around because I've messed the damage up on them, but it's fine. One's on 1 hull, one's on 2. We know that much.
They're all identical.
Yeah.
The missiles have gone. The one thing we do have to be careful of, and Luke really has to be careful of, he doesn't want to get into range 1 of those Z95s, because if he shoots them, the dead man switch kicks in and does the B-wing a point of damage.
Yeah.
He genuinely can't afford to take that damage at this point.
Yeah. In which case, if this frame this possibly could go to a draw if there was to be that happen initially. Is it a roll for damage, or is it just instant 1 point damage?
It's 1 point of damage to everything within range 1.
This is a bump. This is exactly what he needs. A 2 would clear him of range 1.
And if Luke then goes for the 2k, that should put him 3 base widths away, which is just over the 2.5 for range.
It's worth noting though that Black Squadron does 3 town with a red, which is red.
2.
I don't think that was the best course. Turn engage, man. Yeah. Is he trying to play the runaway game? Because if not, he's going to lose anyway. You can't afford to play the runaway game. He's got to turn and engage. Face the enemy. Do some damage.
I think again, it's a fear of taking damage coming in here. So he's trying to clear one of the Z95's arcs. But it may just be because he's a little newer to the game.
The B-wing did a 3 turn, right?
I think it might have been a 2.
That's a very wide 2. because it can't do it. It's a very wide, because it was right in front of the. It's very wide. We'll have to adjudicate that.
Just the one hit. I think that's an evade as well, so I think we may.
That's a focus. It's over.
Oh.
It's over. It's fine. It's gone. That's it. The B-wing's been removed. It's clearly there's a damage we missed out, and that's it. He was playing the runway game. I don't know why, because nothing to lose by turning and engaging and possibly destroying another ship.
I suspect it may be that Luke was looking at the distance to the board edge, and if you're new to the game, if you've not got that ability to very precision predict your distances, that 2K turn can suddenly look really worrying if you're coming close to the board edge. And you don't want to
fly stuff off. I think that he would have been fine. He would have been just on. And also, if he does go off at this point in the game, I don't think it's a big loss. You know, you were going to lose on your next engagement most likely anyway. I mean, there's a risk of doing that. I think you could have made the risk at that play. It was early in the game. You still have all your fleet. Then yeah, don't risk it. But I think the writing was on the wall for the list there.
I think Luke did a decent job of pulling that back though.
He did. He did.
He had a bad first couple of turns, and then he got Talonbane off, and he got one of the Z95s off. So he scored some points, and that means he's not going 100-0 for the first round. He is giving himself a decent bit of position.
Jialing confirms that was the 3 which the B-wings aimed to complete. I'm going to go and inform Luke of that. So it was an illegal move. Didn't matter anyway.
Yep.
But it's worth noting that he probably got his dials mixed up with an X-wing.
He probably picked up the wrong template.
Yeah, probably did.
Thank you to our eagle-eyed viewers there. Bit difficult to tell what the manoeuvre was, but it's just a shame. Just a shame Luke didn't go for that 2K. Only 4 or 5 minutes left on the round by the time they finished as well. So that game ran longer than I think either of us would have anticipated at the end of the second turn of firing there. That looked like it was going to be very strongly Duncan's advantage the whole way through. And Luke did do a decent job of using that dagger to get some hits through. And I think Duncan possibly was playing a little bit cautiously with Talonbane in terms of the barrel rolls, but then leaving himself with no dice modification on those green dice. And if you're rolling 4 or 5 green dice, you really want to make sure that you've got that focus token banked somewhere. So, surprisingly thrilling first game there. We thought it was going to be all over quite quickly, but we've had something that actually was quite an exciting engagement. I'm personally always pleased to see the Keough on the board. It's my favourite of the scum ships. I'm aware that that may not be the most popular opinion of all, but it's got some interesting pilots. It's got some interesting. It's got a decent, solid stat line. The generics clocking in at 20 make it quite competitively priced by comparison with the X-wing. And Talonbane Cobra is just a railgun of a ship when he can get into range 1 and just takes things off the board, if he can survive long enough to do so.
He apologised for using it. He mistakenly used a Z95 dial, which is understandable because Luke has only ever played a couple of games, and this is his first game this year.
That was a very decent showing.
That was a decent showing for not playing for a while, actually, because all things considered. Yes, there were some mistakes in there, and he is still a beginner, but it was a valiant effort. He's obviously played war games before, and he knows what he's doing to some degree. Very impressive match, all in all.
Yeah.
I liked it. We got, 57 seconds left on the clock. So we'll be having the second round off to a good start soon.